Newly released CIA documents show that they were trying to figure out how to mind control us with vaccines and other products starting way back in the 1950s. I'm Odessa Orlowitz. This is Liberty Talk Canada. Let's get started, shall we? Okay, Project Artichoke. 70 years ago, CIA discussed hiding mind control drugs in vaccines, but they want to tell you that don't worry, we're the good guy now. A recently unearthed April 23, 1952 CIA document, Special Research for Artichoke, describes a series of ideas for how to develop chemicals designed to alter human behavior and thought. So if that weird neighbor of yours who submitted back in 2021 to the you-know-whats is acting weird, I wonder why. So in the 1950s, the CIA brainstormed ways to secretly perform mind control on humans, including concealing drugs in vaccines and widely consumed food products, a newly unearthed CIA document revealed. And yes, I've looked. These documents exist. The Daily Mail also showed them as well. This is real. The Daily Mail first reported the story on Monday. The 7-page document called Special Research for Artichoke is dated April 23, 1952. It describes a series of ideas for how to develop chemicals designed to alter human behavior and thought. The proposals contained in the document were part of the CIA's top secret Project Artichoke, which ran from 51 to 56, according to the Daily Mail, and they did show the documents. The document, declassified in 1983, recently circulated on social media. However, it was not published in the CIA's online reading room until last year. Some of the suggestions are controversial, the document states. Yeah, no kidding. The proposals included administering drugs in secret as part of a long-range approach to subjects. According to the document, this study should include chemicals or drugs that can effectively be concealed in common items such as food, water, Coca-Cola, beer, liquor, cigarettes, etc. You know, people have been saying that they've been trying to poison us through all sorts of different means for a long time. And some of those people were actually sent to jail. There is, this is not in the article, this is me talking. There's a guy that was trying to expose this many years ago, and they eventually threw him in jail. And he wrote an article about this. Well, they're saying that people talk this way are crazy and need to be institutionalized. Well, it's right here. And so if the CIA was doing this back in the 50s, what are they doing now? We're going to get to a part in either the Daily Mail or in this article, because their articles are similar, but not exactly the same, where they talk about how another project they made this big deal of releasing that happened, but they think it was a distraction for this. And there's no proof that they've stopped doing this and stopped trying to make this actually happen. Quote, this type of drug should also be capable of use in standard medical treatments such as vaccination shots, etc. The document also included a special field of research for bacteria, plant cultures, fungi, poisons of various types, etc., that are capable of producing illnesses, which in turn would produce high fevers, delirium, etc. Interesting that some people that are testing what the heck they're dropping on us out of the sky is full of fungi and bacteria. Isn't that interesting too? This also included species of the mushroom that produce a certain type of intoxication and mental derangement. Funny how we have more and more mental illness every day and nobody can figure out why. Depression, anxiety. Also among the proposals was a suggestion to research diet or dietary deficiencies on prisoners and on people undergoing interrogation, including using specially canned foods having elements removed. They were testing all these fabulous CIA ideas against humanity on people who did not do informed consent, prisoners, people in mental institutions. The documents included proposals for both short-term and long-term use on us humans. Drugs deemed most suitable for long-term use would be designed to produce an agitating effect, producing anxiety, nervousness, tension, etc., or a depressing effect, creating a feeling of despondency, hopelessness, lethargy, etc. And you think that the powers that be want to keep us safe and healthy. The experiments often involved vulnerable subjects, including prisoners, military personnel, and psychiatric patients. The experiments were usually performed without informed consent. Funny, we keep having this problem with no informed consent. According to Ben Tapper, a Nebraska chiropractor who was included in the disinformation dozen list in 2021. Do you guys remember that? The disinformation, like dirty dozen list that was put out by the powers that be, anybody whistleblowing this stuff. Anyways, yeah, Ben Tapper was on that list for questioning vax safety. The document exposes a disturbing reality that government agencies have historically explored ways to manipulate human behavior through chemical and biological means, including concepts involving food and medical interventions. And again, you might be saying, Odessa, us viewers of your show, we know they're doing this to us, but now we have even more proof. I swear the last month has been all this proof coming out that we cannot trust the powers that be. Our government officials, they're so dumb, they don't even know this stuff is going on, half of them. Well, maybe Trudeau does, with his wicked smile. He's such an idiot. But there are people that know they're doing this. Funny how those that are highest up in government never had the mandate. Interesting. Anyways, it says here, this is not speculation or conspiracy, and it should deeply concern every American who values bodily autonomy and informed consent. Yeah, not just Americans. It says here, precursor to the CIA's MK Ultra mind control experiments. The Daily Mail cited CIA documents suggesting that U.S. intelligence agencies were concerned that enemy nations had developed their own mind and behavioral control tech. This led the agency to prioritize the development of its own methods. In other words, who could become the most evil the quickest? So it's kind of like if someone next door steals a loaf of bread, you're like, well, I better get in on that. I better start stealing too. Or someone next to you murders someone. Oh, well, if they're doing it, I better learn how too. That's how dirty this is. They can blame China all they want. So Project Artichoke served as a precursor to the MK Ultra program, which the CIA launched in 1953. That program, we all know, broadened mind-altering experiments on a larger scale. Many of the documents related to this type of experimentation were destroyed in 1973, leaving the full extent of the research and how far it progressed unknown. Shocking that. Naomi Wolf, PhD, CEO of Daily Clout and author of the Pfizer Papers, Pfizer's Crimes Against Humanity, told the Defender that the documents further confirm a long history of intelligence agency research targeting human thought and behavior. We know they're doing this, but we can now confirm, trying to put this on YouTube. But anyways, I mean, they can't take my show down for literally just reporting on a CIA document that admits it. But, YouTube, they're still left-wing loonies, so they'll probably take this down because the left-wing people don't want to know the truth. It's absolutely bizarre. I'm not right-wing, I'm right so far. Moving forward, leaks cited evidence suggesting that a 1951 mass poisoning in Pont Saint-Esprit, France, in which 250 residents experienced severe hallucinations and 7 people died, was a Project Artichoke experiment. The outbreak was officially attributed to contaminated bread from a local bakery. Leaks said the 52 document is consistent with the suspicion that the CIA was seeking to discover mind control methods for even large populations. In 2024, a Reuters investigation revealed that the CIA operated a secret propaganda campaign involving vaccines in the Philippines. This is interesting. So this is this is around the time where everyone was trying to figure out, organically which vaccines they were going to use for COVID. Well, there's a leak that the CIA did a propaganda sort of campaign. I don't want to say disinformation, but campaign against the Chinese COVID vax to say it's terrible, it's terrible, it's terrible, so that everybody would say, we don't want the Chinese vax, we want the American one. So they were saying there's all these problems with the Chinese vax. Not that I'd want to take the Chinese vax. I wouldn't want to take any of them. But So they were actually doing like anti-vax stuff against the Chinese vax. And that's what this is talking about here. So that, Americans and everybody else around the world would say, we don't want that one. We want Pfizer, Moderna, American military ones. So yeah, it says the campaign attacked what the agency perceived as China's growing influence in the country of Philippines by targeting the Chinese-made Sinovac COVID vax through the use of phony online accounts spreading this anti-vax messaging. So I would just say not anti-vax, anti-Chinese vax. So Michael Rechtenwald, PhD, author of The Great Reset and Struggle for Liberty, Unraveling the Global Agenda, said that Project Artichoke revelations make it clear that the CIA has posed an enormous threat to U.S. citizens, in addition to the horrors it unleashed on non-U.S. target governments and populations. So Project Artichoke wanted to enlist help from Army's Chemical Warfare Service. In 1952, the document also included a recommendation to involve the U.S. Army Chemical Warfare Service in the project's efforts, citing its experience with exhaustive studies along these lines. Interesting. DARPA was involved in the COVID vax. Last year, former pharmaceutical research and development executive Sasha Latypova and retired science writer Debbie Lerman released the COVID dossier, presenting evidence of the military intelligence coordination. They're not even denying it now. They're saying, we had to get involved, of the COVID biodefense response in the US, UK, Australia, Canada, the Netherlands, Germany, and Italy. According to Latypova and Lerman, COVID was not a public health event, but a global operation coordinated through public, private intelligence and military alliances, and invoking laws designed for CBRN, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear weapons attacks. I'm sure you guys have all followed Latypova. I have. We all have. She literally worked in this industry. And interesting, there's multiple states in America that are now wanting to reclassify these mRNA shots as a bioweapon. Hey, I'm just reporting that they're doing that. So if YouTube takes this one down, it's ridiculous because it's a fact that politicians in those states are trying to do that right now. And Leak said, it's far from clear that the Church Committee hearings of 1975, quote, put a complete end to CIA covert programs. He cited the possible laboratory development of the SARS-CoV-2 virus as an example. The lab creation of this with gain-of-function technique developed at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and the U.S. military's involvement in developing and distributing of the mRNA COVID vax should be regarded as possible outgrowths or even continuations of Project Artichoke. I mean, if they were trying to do this in 1952, guys, we're in 2026. We've got people feeling like crap all the time lately. Everyone's feeling crappy all the time, fluish all the time. People have stiff joints, brain fog. I mean, it's getting ridiculous what's happening to us. Cancer skyrocketing. At some point, we have to say, what is going on here? And of course, epidemiologist Nicholas Hulscher drew a potential connection with all of this. And he said recent peer-reviewed studies have identified that since people got the poke, there's huge surging rates of cognitive decline. He says, disturbingly, since 2021, over 70% of humanity received the you-know-what. And the same goals outlined in the CIA document, where they wanted to induce anxiety, depression, and lethargy, are now being observed in this population. Yeah, people who have family members that got it have said, what's going on with their brains? And he says here, if the CIA was secretly discussing covert methods to alter human behavior in the 50s, it should be no surprise if similar classified projects emerged that followed. And if you didn't hear about this, a 2024 paper published in the journal Molecular Psychiatry investigated psychiatric adverse events among over 2 million people in South Korea. We're talking about since this. The study found that these people had increased risks of depression, anxiety, dissociative, stress-related, and somatoform disorders and sleep disorders while reducing the risk of schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. It's interesting. So there's an increase in these other problems, but reduced risk of schizo and bipolar. A 2025 study published in the International Journal of Innovative Research in Medical Science found alarming safety signals regarding neuropsychiatric conditions following these things compared to the influenza vax. I mean, you guys all know this. The point is the CIA has documents put out saying, yeah, we were toying with this idea and doing this to a ton of people, experimenting on them without their informed consent. I think it's in the Daily Mail one, or it could be this one. I think it's the Daily Mail one where they go into the fact that a famous criminal, they were doing this to him and he was seeing like the wall turn into blood, video cameras turning into faces. And he had no idea that he wasn't actually going crazy just from being in jail, but they were experimenting on him. We really need to think about, who does the CIA work for? I think it's really important. I'd like you guys to put in the comments, if you feel like it, who you think or know the CIA works for. You know, not officially, but maybe unofficially. You know, who do these people represent? Or have they just gone AWOL and just become this rogue institution of Looney Tunes? And it says here, the fact that the you-know-whats were designed to cross the blood-brain barrier and inflame the brain, or at least they were known to do so during their manufacture and distribution, should give us pause in light of this news, Wolf says. Wolf said the latest revelations, while shocking, provide all the more reason for us to be critical of opaque, coercive, or untested poke programs, additives in food and water, and toxic or opaque geoengineering programs. I mean, they said, let's hide it in all this stuff. So why wouldn't they be? As the population grows, as they want to control us more. Tapper said the revelations reinforced the urgent need to protect individual liberty, medical freedom, and ethical boundaries in science and public health. The lesson here is simple. Vigilance is necessary when governments claim authority over the human body and mind, Tapper said. So yeah, when we say we want complete sovereignty over our bodies, there's a reason. And this CIA document that's come out just proves that we have every right to do that. So people out there saying that we're being selfish, no, we're just informed. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please share this. It's kind of important. You know, you might have a chance to actually wake up that neighbor next to you. My name's Odessa Orlowitz. This is Liberty Talk Canada. Please like, subscribe, share if you feel like it. I'll be back with another show soon. Thank you.